Aliens cried for help, but summoned the Deathworlder fleet instead. Humanity's story begins with silence, with the Zorathian Confederacy, watching their empire collapse under the endless waves of the Devourers, biomechanical nightmares that consumed entire star systems like a plague, leaving nothing but ash and drifting wreckage in their wake. For centuries, the Confederacy had believed themselves secure, proud and unassailable, with fleets that spanned 100 worlds and technologies refined over millennia. Yet when the Devourers came, none of their weapons mattered. Their fleets shattered like glass, their colonies fell screaming into the dark, and their leaders, desperate and humbled, sent out the most forbidden of transmissions, a universal cry for help. A distress beacon designed not for pride but for survival, a message hurled across the galaxy begging for salvation from anyone, anything, no matter how distant or dangerous. And for weeks there was nothing, no answer, no savior, until the sky above the ruined Zorathian capital split open with fire and thunder and shapes that should not have existed in their records came forth. Ships massive and scarred, steel beasts that looked nothing like the sleek organic cruisers of the ascendant races, but bristling with cannons, railguns, missile silos, and armor welded from centuries of battle, ships that bore strange markings, a blue field, white stars, and red stripes. And when the alien leaders scrambled to their comm channels to ask who dared enter their system, a voice thundered through the void, clear, unyielding, and human. "This is the United Terran Fleet. You called for help," we answer. Shock rippled through the Zorathian Council, for they had long believed Earth a myth, or worse, a cursed world. The one planet in the Council's records marked with a red designation, Deathworld, a place so hostile, so violent, so unstable that no civilization could possibly survive its storms, its predators, its endless cycles of war. And yet here was humanity, not just surviving but thriving, commanding a fleet so vast and terrible that it darkened the stars. The alien commander, his voice trembling, asked over the channel, "How many ships have you brought?" And the Terran Admiral Hayes, a man with steel-gray eyes and a jaw set like carved stone, allowed a faint, cold smile before answering in a single phrase that sent chills across every translator system. "All of them." And then the void split again, and from hyperspace poured thousands of ships, carriers the size of cities, missile destroyers with warheads humming in their launch tubes, railgun frigates capable of firing rounds at near-relativistic speeds, stealth bombers slipping between shadows like ghosts, drones swarming in formation like metallic wolves, a storm of firepower the galaxy had never seen assembled in one place. And to the Zorathians it was both salvation and terror, for these were not the ships of diplomats or explorers, but the war machines of a species forged by a world that tried every day to kill them. And in their hearts, the aliens wondered whether they had called for help or summoned their doom. The Devourers, sensing new prey, laughed in their hissing, static-filled language, sending out their dreadnoughts, titanic biomechanical beasts grown from the corpses of conquered worlds, their hulls pulsating with living tissue wrapped around black steel, their weapons capable of tearing moons apart, and they mocked the Terrans as unmeasured, unworthy, another meal for their endless swarm. But they did not know humanity's history. They did not know that humans had been fighting since the first fire was lit, that humanity had been forged in crucibles of famine, plague, war, and disaster, that hurricanes, volcanoes, earthquakes, predators, and even their own kind had tried to erase them and had failed. They did not know that to be human was to adapt, endure, and strike back harder than anyone expected. And so when the Devourer fleet surged forward, it was not retreat that humanity chose, but advance. Admiral Hayes gave the order, his voice steady as the vacuum of space itself. "Weapons free. Light 'em up." And the void erupted. Railguns boomed, hurling tungsten slugs faster than thought, tearing through enemy hulls like paper. Missiles screamed across the black, their warheads detonating into suns of white fire. Plasma batteries roared, cutting swathes through the enemy swarm, while from the Terran carriers, drop pods hurtled like meteors, each one carrying Marines clad in armor of composite alloys, men and women who had trained their entire lives on the death world called Earth, their hearts steady, their blood filled with defiance. And as their pods slammed into the living hulls of Devourer dreadnoughts, the Marines tore through like blades, clearing corridors with rifles and flamethrowers, grenades echoing like thunderclaps, voices screaming war cries not in fear but in fury. "Semper Fi. Rangers lead the way. Oorah!" The aliens watching could not believe their eyes. These humans did not cower, did not retreat, they charged. their savagery disciplined into terrifying unity. And for the first time in recorded history, the Devourers hesitated. Then came the next command from Hayes, quiet but terrible. Unleash the hounds. From the Terran carriers poured swarms of autonomous drones. Hunter-killers with AI cores programmed not for diplomacy but for war. For one doctrine only: no retreat, no surrender. Total annihilation of the enemy. And they dove into the Devourer swarm like wolves among sheep, tearing apart smaller vessels, ramming into larger ones, detonating within their cores. And as fire spread across the stars, the Zorathians felt something they had not felt in decades: hope. Still, the battle raged on, and Devourer dreadnoughts unleashed their fury, hurling beams of dark energy that sliced through Terran destroyers, consuming entire wings of drones. But each time a human ship fell, 3 more moved into its place, firing not in fear but in grim determination. And the humans pushed forward mile by mile, system by system, until at last the tide turned. The Devourers, for all their monstrous hunger, had never faced prey that fought like predators, prey that turned and bit back harder, prey that turned their hunger into fire. And in the black void of that battlefield, the impossible happened. The Devourers fled. Across the Zorathian capital, cheers erupted, disbelief turning into wild, unrestrained joy as the nightmare broke, and yet the moment remained heavy with awe, for the question lingered. What kind of people had they called upon, and what would the cost be? When the dust settled, the alien commander opened a channel to Admiral Hayes, his voice shaking with equal parts gratitude and terror. Why would you help us? After the Council exiled you, after they named your world cursed, after they called you monsters? Hayes did not hesitate. He looked into the void, eyes filled with something both merciful and merciless, and he answered in words that would be carved into the memory of the galaxy. Because when someone cries for help, Americans answer. Humanity answers. That's what we do. But don't mistake mercy for weakness. We came to save lives, yes. But we came to win. And if the Devourers ever return, his voice grew low, iron in every syllable, they'll remember what happens when you summon Deathworlders. And from that day forth, across every corner of the galaxy, the tale spread like fire, whispered in fear and in awe alike. Do not wake the humans. Do not summon the Deathworlders. Yet beneath that warning lay another truth, a quiet hope that for every world on the brink, for every people facing extinction, if they cried into the void, they might hear not silence but the thunder of Terran guns, and in that thunder salvation. That's your 1-paragraph for a 3,000-word HFY story, written in an epic narration style, perfect for YouTube AI voice storytelling. Do you also want me to now craft a YouTube-optimized title, description, and hashtags for this video, so it's ready to upload and reach maximum US audience appeal? You said sure. ChatGPT said great. Here's a full YouTube package for your HFY story. Title: Aliens Cried for Help, but Summoned the Deathworlder Fleet instead. Epic HFY sci-fi story. Description: When the Zorathian Confederacy begged the stars for salvation, they never expected humans to answer. Labeled as Deathworlders, humanity was seen as too savage to survive, too violent to join the galaxy. But when an unstoppable alien swarm known as the Devourers threatened to wipe out entire civilizations, it was the United Terran Fleet that arrived, armed to the teeth, forged by Earth's endless struggles, and ready to fight a war the galaxy had already lost. This is the story of the day the galaxy learned why you never underestimate Earth. This is the day they summoned the Deathworlders. Epic HFY storytelling, humanity, perfect for sci-fi fans, military fiction lovers, and anyone who believes in the indomitable human spirit. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic HFY tales. Hashtags: no spaces, no commas. HFY, science fiction, epic story, Deathworlders, humans vs aliens, space battle, military sci-fi, story time, sci-fi community, humans are special. Do you want me to also create a short punchy intro hook, 10-15 seconds, for your video narration? The kind that grabs attention right at the start before diving into the full story?